Welcome back, Renegade. So I gotta ask you, if you were to lose your job tomorrow, how long could you survive for? What's your backup plan if your car breaks down the morning of an important interview? Or what happens when insurance and grocery prices double yet again? See, we're living in a world where unprecedented just isn't rare anymore. It's Tuesday. Pandemics, government shutdowns, economic crashes, natural disasters, political violence. These are no longer outliers in 2026. And the scariest part is that most people aren't ready. I've spent the past 10 years analyzing conflict and working in special operations. And there's one difference between the people who weather the storm and the people who become the victims. And that's going to be what they did before the crisis hit. In the next 12 minutes, we're going to explore 3 critical shifts that we can make to take these future challenges head on. Step 1 is going to be shifting from a condition white baseline where we're relaxed and we're vulnerable to a condition yellow baseline where we're alert and anticipating problems and ready to respond. 2 is going to be using redundancy to make us truly adaptable, because redundancy is adaptability. And 3, how to become anti-fragile, because being resilient just isn't good enough anymore. We need to get stronger from chaos, not just survive it. I'm Radar, and I've spent the past 10 years studying human behavior and analyzing conflicts all over the world, from universities to government agencies to even jumping out of airplanes with special operations. But what's my real expertise? That's turning complex problems into actionable solutions. My mission is to give you the most effective tools so that you can crush your own challenges and make a meaningful, positive impact on the world. So let's dive into it. Welcome to the Renegade Institute. All right, so here's the reality. Most of us have been living in what's called condition white, right? That's a military and law enforcement term describing a state where we're relaxed, we're unaware, and we're vulnerable. We're not looking for threats, we're not anticipating problems. Basically, we just kind of be chilling, right? And when we're in condition white, we accept something called single point failures, which are defined as any part or component of a larger system that if it fails, will cause the entire system to fail. So things like one job, one car, living paycheck to paycheck. Maybe we only have a couple of days worth of food in the fridge, right? So what happens when a crisis hits? Well, we end up getting caught flat-footed. No backup plan, no options, and we're forced to react in a panic mode with zero time and zero resources. And here's what terrifies me the most, right? Is that millions of people are living in this condition right now. 40% of Americans are just one emergency from financial destitution, right? In 2016 and 2025, during both government shutdowns, I watched career diplomats, soldiers, and federal workers, very smart, capable, educated people, miss one paycheck and completely lose their minds because they had zero savings buffer. Within 2 weeks, they were borrowing money, selling possessions, and they were genuinely scared. All because they were living in condition white. They never stopped to ask what happens if their paycheck stops. This is the shift that we need to make from a relaxed condition white to an alert conditioned yellow. See, conditioned yellow means that we're relaxed, but we're also alert, right? We're aware of our surroundings, we're paying attention, and most importantly, we're asking ourselves, what if? What if I lose my job? Do I have a savings? Do I have a backup skill that I can quickly monetize? What if my car breaks down? Do I have money for a Lyft or an Uber? Do I have a friend that I can call? Is there public transit available? What if grocery prices spike again? Do I have a 2-week food buffer at home? See, this is what being proactive looks like. It's not about being paranoid or living in fear. It's about being in a state of readiness, right? We thought through the scenarios before they happen. So when things go wrong, we already have a good answer. Check out the book On Killing by retired Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman if you want to learn more about the different awareness condition levels. See, condition yellow, that's the mindset we want to have. But mindset alone isn't going to save us. We need a specific framework that's going to build up backup plans that actually work. And this brings us to section 2, which is redundancy is adaptability. See, in the Boy Scouts, our motto was always be prepared. In SOCOM, we were taught that adaptability is a soldier's greatest asset. But the problem is that like adaptability, always be prepared, right? These are kind of just buzzwords. They don't really mean a lot to us until we operationalize them into something tangible that we can use in our daily life. In SOCOM, every mission had to have redundancy built in. We always had to have a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary plan for all the important aspects of our mission, from communications to routes to and from the objective, medical response plans, and even a go to hell plan, right? And the key to being adaptable is systematically looking at our life and identifying all the single point failures and then adding in contingencies, right? So traffic jam, or we have difficulty finding parking, no problem. We're always 15 to 20 minutes early, giving us a time redundancy. Flat tire or engine trouble, we got Uber, Lyft, spare tires, jumper cables, or a friend that we can call for help. This is going to serve as our transportation redundancy. Loss of a job, economic crash, furloughed, we want to aim to have 3 to 6 months worth of emergency savings and secondary skills that we can quickly monetize. Things like DoorDash, maybe serving at a restaurant, Airbnb, or providing tutoring services. These are going to be our financial redundancies. See, when we only have one income stream, one car, all of our important documents saved onto one computer, living paycheck to paycheck, right? These all become single point failures, the Achilles heel of any good system. They become baked in vulnerabilities just waiting to break. And we fix this by implementing redundancy into our life, because redundancy is adaptability. This brings us to our third section, which is becoming anti-fragile, right? We want to learn lessons from other people's experiences. See, most people think that the goal is to be resilient, right? We just want to bounce back from adversity. But that's not really enough anymore. See, there are 3 types of systems in the world. We have fragile systems that break under pressure. Think of like fine china, right? When you drop it, it shatters. It is a fragile system. Then we have robust systems that endure pressure, but they remain unchanged as a result of that pressure. Think like a rubber ball, right? You can squeeze it, you can throw it, you can drop it, but after all of that interaction, it's still just a rubber ball. It didn't get any stronger, it didn't get any better. This is where the idea of anti-fragile comes in. We want to build systems that actually get stronger from pressure and adversity. Think of things like your muscles and your bones, right? They get stronger, they get denser when we introduce them to stress and tension. This concept comes from Nassim Nichols Taleb. God, I hope I said that right. Nassim Nichols Taleb's book, Antifragile: Things That Gain from Disorder, if you want to dive deeper into this concept. See, this is what we want to build in our life. Not just systems that survive chaos, but systems that use chaos to become better, to become stronger, to become more robust. And we do this by learning from other people's disasters so we don't need to experience these unfortunate events ourselves. And here's how it works. Every time you see a disaster, whether it's in the news or it's happening to someone far away or it's something that happened in the past, we want to treat it like a simulation, right? Who suffered the most in that disaster? Who weathered it pretty well? Who actually survived most of what happened? And then ask ourselves, why? Why did the one individual suffer while the other one prospered? And how can we implement those lessons into our own daily systems and into our own life? If this happened to me, would I survive it? Would I break? What redundancies can I build right now that would help me through this challenge? So, for example, we can look back at COVID, right? Like, how did you make your money during COVID? Did it require a lot of face-to-face interactions, or was it a job that you can do remotely? Can your customers still buy from you if there's a shelter-in-place order or social distancing? So for me, I was working in a restaurant while I was in school, right? And it was a smaller, privately owned, dine-in only restaurant with no real takeout options. And as a result, we got hit really, really hard. Like, most of the servers had to be laid off, and the business had to make serious on-the-fly changes to narrowly avoid going bankrupt. However, There were restaurants that had large open outdoor patios and robust delivery services and takeout options before the pandemic, and they fared much, much better. This could allow for and accommodate social distancing and allow them to operate with minimal contact. One of the examples that I saw that was really aware for me was Sonic, right? Their business model is all about like you drive up, you stay in your car, you order your food from a computer, and then they just bring it out to you, right? Like this model was nearly pandemic proof. So we want to take those lessons learned, and if we're running a business, if we're owning a restaurant, thinking about, hey, if something like this happened again, do I have backup like secondary and tertiary systems where I can operate more like Sonic in the event that another pandemic hits? So here's the big thing, right? COVID-19 took months to reach the United States from Asia, and that gave plenty of opportunity and time for the individuals in condition yellow to learn and prepare for what was coming, right? So you could look at it and be like, are they having mask shortages and personal protective equipment shortages over there? Maybe now's a good time to start stocking up before it comes to us, right? Were shutdowns being implemented all over the place? Might be a good time to start stocking up on food, right? Or getting the toilet paper. See, if it comes over here, are we at a high risk of losing our jobs? It's probably a good time to start spinning up that secondary skill set that we can start monetizing now. If we go into lockdown, do we have a good way to stay connected and sane if we can't leave our house? It might be a good time to start getting that contact info and calling our friends, right? And building those social networks. See, the idea is to take what you see happening far away, then apply it to your own unique situation. Let their pain, their suffering serve as education for you. Their crisis becomes our training exercise, helping us identify gaps in our systems so that we can fix them before we find ourselves in that crisis mode. This is what being anti-fragile is all about. Studying others' adversities, right? And making our system stronger based off of the lessons learned that we see. So let's bring it all together, right? Remember when I asked, are you ready for what's coming in 2026? Well, unfortunately, unprecedented just isn't as rare as it used to be anymore. It's just Tuesday, right? The predictability and stability that our parents had, yeah, it's a lot like affordable tuition and affordable housing. They are long gone. Mass layoffs, epidemics, government shutdowns, natural disasters, economic crashes, these are all part of the new normal that we're facing every day. So how do we differentiate ourselves from the victims? That's by making decisions and putting in the work now so that we're prepared before the next catastrophe hits. So we covered 3 critical steps in accomplishing this. Step 1, shifting our mindset from condition white to conditioned yellow. 2, using redundancy as adaptability for our life and eliminating single point failures. And lastly, learning from the struggles of others to build anti-fragile responses to all potential challenges before they become our own, right? So the next time the world decides to fall apart and everyone around you starts losing their mind, you can take comfort in the fact that you're a renegade. You don't wait for permission and you don't just hope for the best, right? You've done the work and you're ready. So now you guys have the knowledge, but now it's time to implement. In the comments down below, tell me about a time when you dodged a crisis by having redundancy in your life. Or tell me about how when you were in condition yellow really saved you from an ugly situation. If you got even one actionable idea from this episode, hit that like button so YouTube knows to share it with other people who might need to hear it. If you're serious about becoming a renegade and being the best version of yourself, smash that subscribe button and join our community. Lastly, if you really want to be a G, share this video with someone you really care about. You never know, it could totally change their life someday. So for our final quotes and sign off, our first one's going to be coming from the Roman Stoic philosopher Lucius Seneca, who said, "Luck is where opportunity meets preparation." And as a bonus one, J.R.R. Tolkien once said, "It does not do to leave a live dragon out of your calculations if you live near him." Anyhow, that's all I got for you guys this week. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you again next week. Lux via Renegade. We did it! I did it in one take. God, I have so many episodes that I have to shoot and reshoot because I push myself too hard and I'm totally burnt out and I have no more capacity, and then I bungle everything up, and then I get more stressed about bungling it up, so I bungle up the next one, and it's terrible because it takes me like 7 times to shoot one episode. But this one, we did it in one. We did it in one take. There were some bumpy parts, but we did it. It was great. Awesome.